recording going. All right, so welcome to day 10 of our 21-day financial fast with Michelle Singletary. It's been an absolute blast, hasn't it? No, I know. Listen, okay, I know that you guys are probably struggling because listen, I believe that this is the epiphany I'm having in my home is like, how are people doing it? Okay, I always say that we are pretty good financially. I would say we are definitely above average. Okay, and listen, some bombshells are popping up, and I'm like, this. Then I'm looking at how much groceries cost because when you're budgeting now, you're looking at the things. Okay, now you're looking at the things. You're like, how are people surviving? Listen, Wanda had to put some facts on me last night because if I had it my way, I'd be trying to spend $200 a month. Let's put the rest away. And she's like, listen, okay, here's this website. Here's the average family, what it takes to me. I said, we can't eat top ramen? Okay, no. Okay, no. So the average family listen is like 1,300 to 1,600. I'm thinking, well, I know the numbers to what people make in the United States. Okay, and I don't know how people are surviving, and quite frankly, they're probably not. But that's another subject that we can get on later. Today we're going to talk about marrying your money. When I read the chapter, I'm like, okay, marry your money. I didn't realize she was going to go into marriage. Okay, and she went heavy into marriage, and I think it's very important. As a matter of fact, this book now is going to become a staple for if we ever talk to couples, I'm going to recommend they get this book before they get married. Okay, and I'll tell you, if you are married, there's a book that I want to recommend to you personally called Divorce Proof Your Marriage. Okay, and by Dr. Rosenberg. And if you're not married and you plan on getting married, read that book before you get married. Guys, read that book before you get married. It's called Divorce Proof Your Marriage. It's powerful, okay? And to give you another perspective, because there are things that we have learned from what we've been around that you may not have seen a successful marriage. Okay, you may have thought you've seen a successful marriage. Okay, and she's breaking this down of all the traditions, all the things you may have been taught by grandmama, or maybe that you've watched, and we're going to break into that. So we are 10 days in, and today's main point: together as one, you can become better stewards of your money. Okay, stewards of your money as one. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about here. And so we will do the pledge. I love the way Wanda does it. We're going to do the pledge after we finish this chapter here. And here's how it goes. Okay, it's easy. For those who have gotten married, it's easy to operate when you're single. Okay, you don't have to report to nobody. You can go buy whatever you want to buy. It's yours. You can stay broke on your own. Okay, if you go homeless, you're gonna go homeless on your own. Okay, the family's not gonna go homeless. The kids are not gonna go homeless. But unfortunately, we drag that into our marriages. Okay, we drag that into our partnership, our union with another person, and then we want to keep what we call our identity. And I'm not saying your identity has to be given up, but this is what the world has taught us, that I'm my own person, right? She's not going to control me. He's not going to control me. You ain't going to control my money. So that's where we automatically go wrong with his and hers, my. We have the wrong language in the relationship because we don't realize that we've become a union of one. Okay, so she's going to break that down here. So if you are single, she said, if you're single and you're tempted to skip this chapter, don't, because you're going into this with knowledge about marriage. And I'm so grateful. They say experience is the best teacher, unfortunately. Okay, I had to learn some things. Okay, if I can be honest with you, I hadn't seen a successful marriage. Okay, all around me, and the numbers show. People get in, people get out. So it looks like it's not something that's supposed to be forever. But we say the vows like till death does its part. Like, that's a real thing. And trust me, there's blessings in actually operating under God's union when you do get it together. So she said we got to know how to handle our money in marriage. It's very important for a successful marriage. Here are the statistics. I was just looking up. In America right now, the marriage rate, meaning how often people get married, is 6.5 per 1,000. Okay, 6.5 people get married per 1,000 in our population out of the 300 million that we have here in America. Okay, over 2 million, some people are married. And then here's the divorce rate. The divorce rate is 2.9 per 1,000. So it's like, I told one, I said, man, that's kind of like network marketing. Put 6 in, 3 go out. It's commitment, folks, right? Let's call it what it is. It's human behavior, right? We have commitment to nothing. All right. And so today, if we don't give you anything, we're going to show you that nothing is supposed to be easy, right? Marriage is not supposed to be easy. Marriage is a business. Marriage is a partnership. Okay. Marriage, it's, and when I say it's a business, we're going to talk about the financial part of it, right? She talked about merging businesses together. Um, so it is God's gift for both. But she said, here's the saddest part, and I would always say this. One of the saddest things to see is that couples come into a relationship and they are separate individuals, separate bank accounts, separate everything. It's my money. They have the joint bank account for this, or maybe they might not have a joint bank account. They are literally sharing bills, okay, and they fight over having a joint account. Trust me, I've lived that life. I understand that, right? To have separate accounts, and it sucks. Okay, it's not a good feeling because most of the arguments are going to arise because you got to pay this half, and you got to pay this half, and then what happens if you don't have this half? What you been spending your money on? Right? You got to think there's going to be some mismanagement of money. There's nobody that's perfect. Listen, I've mismanaged money. Wanda's mismanaged. We all are going to mismanage money, and unfortunately, the boulder is never as big in our eye as this we see the other person. The other person, they're saying it's more. You did more than what I did, okay, and vice versa. Those are going to be your arguments, okay. And so there's a big fight over spending that sometimes ultimately can go into divorce, okay. And this is the hard part. So I'm going to talk about a testimony she has here. One of the things they say a majority of fights happen over spending. Man, the world. Do not conform to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Man, I look at the examples that the world gives us in every aspect of our life. We can talk about politicians, Democrats and Republicans. What do they argue over the most? Spending. Do you realize that? So from the very top leadership, okay, I don't know if that's a part of what's happening, but there's fights over spending, how it should be spent. So we have to not conform to what the world is doing. We have to be renewed and we have to have education. So here's a testimony that she has, day 10. This is coming from, looks like the husband, my wife and I were not in one accord in our spending habits. And she didn't trust that the fast was a means to financial freedom. Okay. As we know, when one half of the union does not agree, the fast can be difficult. After meeting with the senior partner, we felt there was hope for us. By virtue of being obedient to God and to the fast, we were able to see his blessing and apply 13,000 to our debt within the first 3 to 5 months of being in the ministry. Okay, Alton. So he said because they came together as one, basically their goals came together. They start moving together. They were able to pay off $13,000 in bills. But here's what happened. I'll tell you. Okay, you can't pay off $13,000 in bills if she got bills and I got bills, right? They're separate. So you better get yours because I'm gonna get mine, right? That mentality, and I've heard it so often. I get chills when I hear it. Man, she go like, listen, for the men, I'll tell you from my perspective. Men, when I've heard a lot of husbands, man, I got my retirement. She better get her retirement. Like, listen, it's like you like slave driving your wife. Like when you realize what love is, I don't know if I would have sympathy for my wife. My wife's burden is my burden, okay? And just like my burdens are her burdens because we're one flesh. When she hurts, I hurt. And if that's not the case, if you don't feel that way about your spouse, then you need to reevaluate what your love is or what your definition of love is, okay? But I promise you, if you go into a marriage and let's say that debt does come in, y'all both bring baggage to the table. Then guess what? We putting the baggage together, okay? And we're gonna take the trash out together. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grow together. And I'll tell you that's pretty much Wanda and I's story, okay? Whatever we brought to the relationship, we handled together in the relationship as one, okay? So here's what she really says what the money is. And this goes back to breaking the habit of being yourself. So when we bring baggage, money is, unfortunately, we've used it as a measure of our self-worth. You hear Wanda say it all the time. Your bank account, what's in your bank account right now is not a reflection of who you are whatsoever, because that's what the world tells you. Right? We talk about net worth, how much you have, what status are you, middle class, lower class, upper class, whatever. Okay. And so we put a lot of our worth in that. And then we also bring that baggage into a marriage and relationship. Okay. This is who I am, right? I do this for the home. Okay. And we want to put, I do more in my home than you do more home in your home, and vice versa. We are tit for tat. Okay. And so really, she said, here's the true cause of the fights. It's not money, okay? It's just that emotional baggage is coming. And that is kind of an excuse with it. So there's fear involved. We talked about this, right? Fear. Okay, you have fear of what? Well, maybe your childhood you were in lack. Okay, you may have watched dad walk out on mom or vice versa. Okay, and now you're like, I don't trust relationship because my mom was in a relationship and this happened and she was hurting and we struggled as a family. So you don't know underlyingly until we get there because there's counseling involved. Listen, in certain communities, counseling is not a good thing. And so if you don't go get this counseling, you're walking into a marriage, there's minds. These are minds. So when I say they're minds, that means you don't know they're there until a situation happens. Then you're like, and you'll hear couples say it, I don't know what happened. We were happy, and then all of a sudden, just boom, out of nowhere. And there were these minds sitting there that weren't talked about. Okay, so fear, mistrust, immaturity, selfishness. Okay, right? Selfishness is not of God at all. It's ego, right? Etching God out, or lack of self-worth. Okay, when you have a lack of self-worth, what do you think you're going to go do all the time? You're going to go spend. Okay, so you think about all these things, lack of self-worth, you're like, let me go get this, let me go, I finally can get it. And this is where you feel you're searching for something. You're searching for that feeling, the external. Remember, we talked about this in breaking the habit of being yourself. So you're relying on external things to make you happy. So, man, we got the money, so let me just go spend on this. It just feels so good. Oh my God, yes, finally. Okay, but really, is the marriage good? It's the marriage happening. When that thing is taken away, when you don't have money, is it good? This is what couples are experiencing, because when the lack of money comes in, that bickering, that fighting, okay, that's when the problems come in. And here's what happens in modern day marriage that covers up everything, okay? And that's an issue. People go into a union behaving like roommates. I've had real roommates, okay? Before I got married, okay, before me and Wanda got married, I had a roommate. And it was just like that. My roommate, I didn't know what was in his account. I didn't know how much money he had, okay? His car broke. Listen, I remember when his car broke down. The rent is still due. Okay, you just ain't gonna have a car, bro. Now, I will tell you, when I come, and that really happened. I roommate, his car broke. Thank God. He was lucky because God had brought Wanda in my life, and I was happy. I was like, you know what, bro? You don't even gotta pay the rent this month. Because I was like, you know what, we gonna get you another spot because I got a missus rolling in right now. This so, real story. But that roommate doesn't care about the other roommate. You better have your money because this is my money. Like, I don't benefit from my roommate. Give me 1 second. Hey, I need a tissue.
Already on it.
Oh my, we are pinging. Oh my God.
We've been doing this all morning, guys. We've been having telepathy moments all morning.
We really have. Wow. Let me cut my video off for a second. Hold on. If you want to say some things,
hey guys. So I'll take over for just a second because we are going to be reading some scripture. I want you to read it because I know we read this to you guys and we're taking it out the book, but there are a couple things I want you to write down. Luke 14:28 is one that she asked us to study and to read. And I'm going to read it to you. And I'm sure, Randy, we're going to get to it a little bit later on in some of the lesson, but just to read this to you. Okay. Luke 14, I believe it was 14:28. I might have actually moved my.
Yes, it's 14:28.
Okay, 14:28. Let me move this. Hold on. Reading the Bible on the internet is different. Okay. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down together and estimate the cost to see if you even have enough money to complete it? For if you start to lay the foundation down and then you're not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, wow, this person began to build but wasn't able to finish this. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he's able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he'll send a delegation while the other is still a long way off, and he'll ask for some terms of peace. Guys, think about this. There's so much wisdom here. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. Think about what he says when he says, if he knows he's not able to win this war, he will seek peace. I think there's a reason that Michelle has us read this with the mindset of marriage, because do we really, you guys think about this, money is a hard conversation to have. And I'm telling you from my personal experience, me and Randy, we thought we were talking about money when we first got married, right? We thought we weren't talking about money. We were sending our representatives to talk about money. Okay. And then a lot of times the man feels so responsible for being the one who, I have more than enough, or, I'll handle it. Ladies, they can't handle it on their own. They don't really want to handle it on their own, but we have such a culture that's wrapped up his identity in being a provider, right? And this is where some of the insecurity comes. And when insecurity drives its way in, fear drives its way in, understand that fear and love cannot live in the same place. And so we're going to talk about there's some rules of money. Michelle encourages us to sit down with our spouse and write down some rules of money. We're going to go through these. Randy, when you get to those, that's where I want us to kind of read one, maybe share our story and move on to the next one, share our story, and really talk about the rules, because when we finally had to sit down and talk about the rules, we realized that we have neglected this conversation in our marriage. And I will tell you, I remember, at least for me, I remember when we really first started talking about the money. And it was probably 6-7 years into our marriage. And my husband is so analytical and such a chart person, right? He would have all the bills in a chart, an Excel spreadsheet. And I just was like, well, that's what he likes to do. Like, I don't want to interfere, so I'm gonna let him do that. And he was trying, and it was a lot, right? He's managing the money. I'm the one responsible for spending it, paying the bills, paying the electricity, the water, the gas, the cable, the internet, the groceries, but he's the one responsible for managing it and moving the money around. And I remember once he was like, babe, this is an impossible job. Just so you know, you think everything's okay, but I'm juggling. I'm juggling. And I just remember the point of frustration where I didn't even really know what to do. I didn't know as a wife what my role was, how to be a helper. I felt a little ashamed myself because I had just started a brand new career and I felt like I wasn't making enough money. So there was all these other messages happening internally. His insecurities, my insecurities, we weren't putting none of it on the table. And unfortunately, fear drives out love. Fear has you not trust. Fear has you compare. And Randy's so right when he says, you will forever, you're human, you were born into sin. I need you to understand that forever you're going to be thinking, he just don't do as much as I do. And he's going to be thinking, she just don't do as much as I do. You know, you might be the person that's responsible for the children primarily, or the home. And you're going to always say, you know, well, he just don't get it. He don't, you know, or she don't get it. She doesn't understand how much I do. And he's going to feel the same way. She don't understand how much I do. And that's such a red flag. That's such a big problem in marriage, in any relationship, is this, I know I'm doing more. And him, I know I'm doing more. But here's the thing about marriage. We've been lied to. We've been told that it's 50-50. It ain't. It's 110 and 110. And this season of our marriage, we have gotten so much better at both of us exhausting ourselves and going to bed tired because we gave everything we could that day to our family, to our marriage. Not, like he says, watching you struggle and going, well, that's your problem. You know, that's you, you know, that's your debt. I want you to know, I'm gonna tell you a story about Randy when we were dating. So no woman in my family drives. Okay. My mother's never drove. My grandmother's never drove. I know that that's weird, but I need some Puerto Ricans on the line to back me up. Like, our grandmas did not drive. Okay. It's not what they did. And my mom never drove ever. And she was York, so she was used to public transportation. But then she would try to live that New York lifestyle in South Texas where there ain't subways. So it was always a struggle. We were always on city buses, okay? So I got some people. Anne says yes. Nico says no, literally. Pam says this is a Latino thing. None of my mom's sisters drive. For what? Where are we driving to? Where are we going? Not a job. We don't have those, right? Traditionally, we're homemakers. Where are we driving to? So my family set this example for me. And so usually when you're 16, your mom, it takes you to go get a license. My mom didn't know what to take me to get a license. She's like, for what? What do you need a license for? So you can get, the fear, you can get in a car accident. If you don't drive, you can't get in a car accident. I'm like, what? So, but that was the rationalization that she had in her mind. And long story short, I couldn't do that. So at 18, before I ever had a license, you guys, I bought a little car and I never had a license. I legit did not know. I mean, I knew I was supposed to go do something for a license. I honestly didn't really know what I was supposed to do. And so I was like, I'll get to it one day. So little Wanda at 18 years old gets pulled over for going 35 and a 30 because I didn't know what the hell a speed limit was. Right? You get taught that when you go get a license. And I get pulled over and the cop is talking to me and I'm like, I don't have a license. He's like, what are you doing driving? I was like, well, I need to get to work. I need to get places. I'm living on my own. Long story short, you guys, I get a ticket and I just ignore it because I had bad examples. Huh? Okay. And one thing I saw and I was mimicking was not handling things. You guys, can you understand that? Just ignore it. It'll go away. Just, I can't handle that. It stresses me out. Let me just shut down. Okay. That's not good. Don't do that. So I just shut down things I felt like I couldn't handle. And then that ticket became more than a ticket. It became a failure to appear. And what was a $180 ticket, I have no idea how it got to $800+. So fast forward, Randy and I are dating. We're pretty serious in our relationship. At this point, we're engaged, and he has no idea that I don't have a license. And, we start talking about, things, and he's like trusting me to drive his car to help take my stepdaughter, his daughter to school. And this is when I have to tell him, like, you should not let me drive your BMW, sir. Not a good idea. I didn't want something to happen and then he find out the hard way, his nice car is repoed and now I'm sitting here like looking stupid. So I told him, listen, I don't have a license. And he's like, you don't have a license? What? Why? You are a whole grown woman now. And I was like, well, to be honest, I was young, got a car, got pulled over, like literally my second week having a car, which was God protecting me. And it just kind of got out of hand. And now I'm scared. Now I'm scared to go up there and get a license. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, I don't know. This isn't like back. There was no internet for you to go online and look up what you could do. You just had to call a number and on your house phone and hope someone answers and they answer your questions. Like, so he's like, let's go up there. We're going to go up there and get your license. And I'm like, no, there's a debt tied to that. And I'm gonna get to it. I was working 2-3 jobs. Randy knows I was working a lot. He actually thought I was avoiding him when we were dating because I was working so much. No, I was really working so many jobs. And so we go up there and I'm so nervous because, we're still separate checking accounts. We're just dating, right? So it's serious, but we're dating. And in my head, I'm like, okay, this is how much money I could spend. I have no idea what this ticket has turned out to be. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give them what I got and they're gonna have to take what I got or they're gonna have to lock a sister up right there in front of my fiance. This is gonna be embarrassing, but whatever. I'm just gonna believe that good things are gonna happen. He has no idea how terrified I am. So we get up there and I have no idea that this is ballooned into an $800 problem. I'm rounding. I'm just doing hood math in my head based on no facts. I'm like, probably around like 300-ish. That seems reasonable. Off no facts, right? And we get up there, we get to the counter and the lady's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see your ticket here. How do you want to pay your balance? I was like, on a card. And she's like, all right, great. It's $800 something. And I'm like, ooh, I just want to die. And, I'm trying to impress this man, how amazing I am. I'm such a hard worker. I'm a good person. And I just want to die. I'm so embarrassed. I'm just sitting there so embarrassed and not at all expecting him to pay this, you guys. He's a single dad. He's got his little girl living with him. She's only 4 years old. Her mother is deployed. He is going through pilot training. He wasn't officially a pilot yet. The stress. He's got his father who was, he was kind of rehabbing and just providing a good lifestyle for. He's taking care of his little brother who lives with him and his little cousin also. Like, I know that he don't have $800 in my head, right? I'm just thinking this is not, and I'm just like, okay, well, I tell her, okay, so I need to make payments. And she's looking at me like, okay. And she starts to tell me how, if you want to make payments, you can't do that here. You need to go to the back and talk to an officer. And technically you're under arrest. We ain't gonna put no handcuffs on you. We're just gonna walk you back there. But technically, right, you're under arrest. And I'm just like, I just want to die, y'all. I'm like, God, just zap me with lightning. Just take me off the earth right here, right now. And Randy, he's like, how much is it? What's the total, everything to be done with it? And she's like, 800, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, let's just pay it. Let's just pay it all and be done with it. And this is how Randy was different than me, because I always grew up and still like, handle what you can handle. Just do like, what's the minimum? What's the minimum down payment, right? What's the minimum I have to pay? What's the minimum? And Randy is the opposite. He's like, I'll just pay the whole thing. He's still like that to this day. Sometimes it drives me crazy. And I'm like, you realize this bill ain't due till February, sir? He's like, well, just pay the whole thing. Why wait till February? And I'm like, so we can have our money now. I don't got plans with this money, right? So we differ in that. But in that moment, believe it or not, you guys, it's not about money to me. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about waiting for some man to come and save me, because I was living on my own, no baggage, taking care of myself, working multiple jobs, literally from 6 a.m. till 2, 3 a.m. working. But in that moment of kindness, okay, that's what I saw. I saw kindness. And it wasn't money. It was, I knew that this was a sacrifice for him too. But when we left, he said, I'm not about to let my wife be out here having this burden. How are you handling that? How are you walking around knowing that this monkey was sitting on your back? I don't know how you were handling that stress. And his focus was lightening my burden. That's love. And believe it or not, there was like a whole nother part of him I fell in love with, because to him, it was about lightening my burden. And you guys, we're living in an era right now where I see it online. I see it in your conversations. I see it in what the world is telling you. We have no desire to come to the table and love each other and lighten each other's burden. We don't. We say, sis, that's his baggage. The hell? You better, he better come to the table ready, prepared, squeaky clean. Bro, that's her burden. Is she a bum? No, she can't bring nothing to you. No, you got to come to the table about all this, all that. And we all think we have to come to the table, all this, all that, instead of marrying our burden. Just like the king had to prepare for battle, Luke 14:28. If you were about to build a building, won't you come look at the plan together and say, what can we pull off? But what happens, because we have this pride, this front, we're scared to be vulnerable. We're scared to be human. We're scared to be judged by someone we claim to love. We want to share a life with them. We share our bodies with them, but we will not share our bank accounts with them. We lay down with them. We create soul ties, but we got no idea what kind of debt he's in, what kind of debt you in. There's so much pride. It's so backwards. And we come to the table thinking we have to be perfect. Instead of what would be love? Love would be, hey, we're about to get married. Hey, this is serious. Hey, we're engaged. We need to sit down with wise counsel, put all our debts on the table, everything we bring, and not just marry the bodies, not just marry the people, marry everything. Marry, the word marry is to bring two together and make it one. To marry it where you cannot tell the difference between the two. I used to be a waitress. At the end of the night, we would
had an apartment was the Waterford. They had one.
Mute your lines. They only had one, whatever it was. They ran out. I love you. Mute your lines. We're gonna accidentally hear all your business. So I used to be a waitress. So at the end of the night, we would marry the ketchups, right? Get rid of the ketchups. I only had a little bit. And we would wipe it clean and we would marry the ketchups. If I was to pour that ketchup out and try to separate it again, it would not be possible. A lot of our insecurities, we come to the table with the insecurities. And here's one of the greatest things when you go look at Corinthians and what it says about love. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it does not keep no record of wrong. It is not easily angered. Love does not rejoice in evil, but it delights in the truth. Love, and a lot of people think that the opposite of love is hate. No. That's still passion. There's still some feelings there. The opposite of love is fear. And when you are fearful of possibilities with that person, I don't know if I could trust him. I don't know if I could show him my debt. I don't know if I could show him my income. I don't know if I can marry. If you're fearful, the problem is you cannot fully love someone. You cannot experience what full love is and experience fear. And the image I get and the conviction I get is how Christ had to pick between love and fear before he went to the cross. And he didn't pick fear. He picked love. And because he picked love and not fear, you and I get to live in an abundance of grace. You and I have an amazing teacher and an amazing example of what it looks like to live a full life on this earth. And so when I think about the lessons that Michelle's teaching, my heart aches for so many of my friends because I know you're living in fear when it comes to your marriage and money. And I get it. Maybe your spouse has hurt you, has spent more than they were supposed to, has put you in a financial bind. I have some friends on the line that you've had to work harder. You've had to go back to the workforce because maybe something your spouse has done. And so there's resentment there. Put me back in the workforce because you were not wise. But the truth is, if you really, really put everything on the table, before the overspending, before the debt, before the secrets, before the irresponsibility, before all that, you got to look at the root of what caused it. Where is your money conversations? If you've never had money conversations together, if you do not, like Luke 14 says, come together with the plans before you build a foundation, if you have no blueprint, if you have no plans, if you do not have a map, what will happen is you will have a half-built building on display for the whole world to see. And every time they walk by it, they will see what's unfinished. And a lot of us are in marriages that look like half-built, broken down towers. And you think that no one sees, but you forget that your largest audience is not the people on this earth. Your largest audience is the angels of heaven. And they see what no one else sees. And when I think about what Michelle's talking about, there's so many convictions here, you guys. And one of the big ones is women, no matter who you are, we all get the same advice from our mamas and our grandmamas. I'm gonna really try to say this without boohooing y'all. Okay, thank you, God. No matter how good our husband might be, no matter how much he's devoted to us, we all get the same advice. Hide some money for when he leaves you. so that you're not left hungry in the cold, looking stupid, homeless. You better hide your money, girl. You better have a secret account. And the reason my heart breaks is because I know why they give us this advice. Because so many of them have been your children with the woman and just go find another woman and start another life and just have new babies and don't look back. That's the world we're in. So I understand. I understand why your grandmother gave you this advice. I get it. But the problem is that if you prepare out of fear for something, you cannot live in full love. You can't. And I know, I've even had these conversations with some of you. And I've had hard seasons in my marriage where I felt like I was giving more or getting less or being belittled. And we've grown through so much of that. And Randy has really learned that as the leader, he can lead, but he can also, hey babe, look at this. Hey babe, let's talk about what this is doing. Hey babe, let's see what this month, what we did and what we could have done better and what the plan is for next month. He's had to learn that. No one taught him that.